And so we had to pull over. I had to like quietly pull our daughter out of the car. And he was on the Zoom call with like Billie Eilish and the Jonas Brothers doing a sound check.
Just pulled over on the side of the road like cows walking by.
Yeah.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Socality show. We are so glad you are here.
Zach, I am excited to see you. It's been actually a couple weeks since we've done the show, and so I feel like I haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to see you. Welcome to the show.
It is great to see you as well. We are pumped for the show that we have for you guys today. We have Mike and Mitzi from Arcade, and it's going to be a really cool conversation.
Yeah, I'm really excited because we have a great backstory with Mike and Mitzi, and they're going to be awesome today, talking about their journey, social media and social media marketing, all that they've learned, and their husband and wife couple, dream team, building business here in Alberta and impacting the world. And they've had some really incredible things happen to them lately. So I know that today is going to be very encouraging for people. So what's up, everybody in the chat room? Welcome to Socality show. I saw our friend Brett had a mouthful of pizza. So some people are just sitting there.
Yeah, jealous of Brett. Brett's living the best life out of all of us. Let us know what kind of toppings you're rocking.
They're eating food. They're folding laundry. They're watching TV. They're hanging out. And they're watching the show. And so we're thankful for all those people that are watching the show live. And we're excited for that. So
yeah, absolutely we are. And you know, the chat is fun for joking around and making us jealous of your lunch, but also we want you to help form the show as we go. That's part of the reason that we have this live component. If there's something you would love to hear from our guests, a question, something you've been wondering ahead of time, or maybe something you want them to expand on as we go, feel free to use the chat or the Q&A function, and we'll respond to that as we go. The Q&A is a great place for us to see your questions because it doesn't move quite as quickly as the chat, and we can go through and curate those. So if there's something you're wondering, don't hesitate to send it, and we will integrate your feedback into the show as much as we can.
Yeah, and basically for the person or that is the most engaged in the chat room, we have an awesome prize at the end of the show in the mystery box. And so the mystery box arrived today. It came by UPS. And they ran in here, and the guy was so excited when he dropped it off because
it's the rest of Brett's pizza is what it
is. Potentially, you win Brett's pizza. But basically,
sorry,
he was so excited. He's like, I don't know what's in here, but I'm excited. So the most engaged person in the chat room today is going to win the mystery box. I will open it at the end, and we will unveil the prize that will go to the winner. And so you could win the mystery box just by firing up that chat room. And so let's get it, guys.
Let's get after it.
You know, and speaking of breakfast, not breakfast, lunch, but food in general.
Food.
I know for you,
big food fan over here.
You're a big food fan. I know you've had something interesting happen in your life lately that is making your life a little bit more convenient. You don't have to go as far. You've recently moved to like a farmhouse or where are you living?
It's a house, and there's a little bit of space, and so we brought some new roommates in. We got some chickens, so we got
tell us about these roommates, these chickens.
Yeah, they're just an absolute breakfast factory. It's amazing. They just make eggs every day. So
how many chickens did you get?
We got 14.
Okay, so talk to me. How many eggs do they just lay one egg a day?
I'm not sure which eggs are coming from which chickens. I tried to ask, but they're not very responsive. So I'm assuming one egg per chicken per day would make sense. It actually baffles me. Like, you hold an egg and you're like, this was synthesized inside this bird today. I don't know.
Are you going out? You're going out every morning and collecting eggs? Is this happening?
Yeah. You go out every morning, you take the eggs out of the roosts, and then you sweep it out a little bit, make sure the food and water's full. They're so low maintenance, actually. It does not take much time each day.
Are you holding these chickens? What are you doing with these chickens during the day?
They're just vibing out, pecking the ground. They love it.
Just 14 chickens walking around.
I wish I was content. Like, I'm trying to learn from my chickens the art of contentedness, because they just kind of like run around in the yard, pecking the ground, and they seem so happy. So maybe there's a thing or two for me to learn from the chickens.
Right. Or, they want you to, they don't want to bother you because they know that besides eggs, they could become something else.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is they do know there's a pretty thin line of them being nuggets. No, we don't want to eat these guys. They're our buddies.
Like, we better be nice to this guy. Leave him alone. Make him think we're happy. Everything's good. Just we're good. You're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah, exactly. You know, people are in here saying like, do they have names? This is the thing though. 14 chickens look like 14 of the same chicken.
Right.
I will never be able to tell them apart. So these are our options. We give them all one name, or we make little bracelets for them and put it on their feet, and then we can tell them apart.
Little friendship bracelets.
Little friendship bracelets. So if any of you are great at weaving those little friendship bracelets, maybe some of you went to summer camp as a kid and you have bracelet withdrawal. If you want to ship me 14 different colored friendship bracelets, I will put them on my chickens and name them.
They would be so little because they go around their little leg.
Their legs
aren't
even
big. Be able to read, like, you know.
Oh, you know what? Like, Courtney just volunteered. Courtney said, "I'm a girl guide. I'll make you some." So,
hey, Courtney, the girl guide, is going to make you friendship bracelets for your 14 chickens.
If this happens, that is going to be the best thing this show has created so far.
I really think it should happen, and I really expect to see a follow-up on this. So you need to keep us updated on the chickens. Courtney, please connect with us offline. We need these friendship bracelets for these chickens.
Yeah, I'm open to it. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens here.
Yeah,
How about you, Scott? You have any birds living in your house?
We don't have any pets. There's no children. 2 children are enough. There are no pets allowed. My daughter keeps begging for a cat. But I'm like, there's no way a cat is entering this premise. A dog, maybe in a couple years, a little dog, but not a cat. There's no way.
Backins are not a cat family, hey?
I'm not living my life to have a cat in my house. I'm sorry.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Bless
So
the cat people, wherever you are out there, bless you.
Let's say dog and cat are both off the table, and you got to pick something that Sydney's going to be pumped about.
Totally.
What animal you getting? Can't be a dog, can't be a cat, has to live in your house. What's your choice?
We'll start with fish.
Fish. Oh, wow.
We'll start with fish in the bowl. Set. You know, goldfish. There you go. She said a hamster. There's no way. No, a hamster. She said to me the other day, Daddy, a hamster is just a cute bunny. I said, no, it's a rat.
Wow.
It's a rat. I liken it more to a rat. When you look at it.
What's wrong with rats? There's a big thing online right now of people trying to reclaim rats as cute animals. And I'm like, no, they're clearly not people who live in New York.
There are people that have pet rats and the pet snakes. And, you know, we're not going to let those people be. Like, you know what? They can live their life. I can live my life. I'm not going to go on about the rat people, but I'm just saying. And there's no cat coming in the house. There's no gerbil. There's no hamster. Maybe a fish, and one day a dog. So,
all right. The Backins are the only mammals permitted on the premises
currently.
All right. We understand.
Our children are like little animals, to be honest.
No,
it's like having animals.
They make far more noise than any of my chickens.
They're talking animals. Sometimes I wonder if I'm Dr. Doolittle and they're just like, I can hear things. They talk, but they are like animals.
So if any of you guys have some animal stories or anything else in your week that has been positive, at the end of our interview segment with Mike and Mitzi, we are going to be sharing our wins of the week. That's anything big or small that brought you some joy this week. It could be an accomplishment that you're proud of, something new that you tried, something that you are looking forward to, anything. Big or small, a win of the week. We're looking forward to sharing those. So start thinking of what those are, and we will prompt you at the end to share them in the chat, and we will read out as many of them as we can. Now, Scott, I think we're getting pretty close to ready to interview our good friend.
I think we're ready for Mike and Mitzi. So let me read the intro as sent in by producer John.
Love producer John.
Oh, we love producer John. Shout out to producer John. All right, here we go. Excited for our guest today. Partners in business and in life, Mike and Mitzi Payne are entrepreneurs, parents, and creators who have spent their combined 20-year marketing careers making waves online. Together, they lead Arcade, an award-winning digital agency specializing in strategy, content, and distribution for the world's rising direct-to-consumer brands. They've curated a team that brings diverse expertise into a niche service mix that produces meaningful brand growth and measurable impact of every one of their client partnerships. They've been featured in publications like Fast Company, and they're hot off the press from winning a Webby Award for their work with John Krasinski's Some Good News. Now, if that wasn't a bio, I don't know what a bio is. That was beautifully written. So please welcome to the show, Mike and Mitzi Payne. How are you guys? Welcome here.
Welcome, guys. I think we've just got you on mute.
You got him on mute.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey,
we
welcome.
can hear you now. How are you guys?
With us not being on Zoom calls all day.
Yeah.
We're excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Well, we're excited to have you on the show, longtime friends, and it's just great to have you here. We're excited to learn from you, to download from your brains all that you're doing in your world, in your business. It is super cool, and we're just excited to have a great conversation with you. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm bummed I missed the lunch conversation.
We had a lot of opinions about rats, about pets, about chickens, all those things.
Hey, well, we can do a little speed round catch up here. I'll just thoughts on rats as pets. Go.
Here's the thing.
No.
My brother had rats as pets, bro.
No.
Yeah, it was rough. They would all get out of their cage. My dad hated it. I think he got that was what caused him to get gray hair. He's always had a crazy high stress career. That didn't do it. Rats did it.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't do it again.
No to rats in all contexts. I don't even want to see a rat. So.
Okay, so no bueno on the rats. Chickens. Thoughts on chickens?
I think it's practical, man.
Yeah.
And I think there's some level of like zen that comes with chickens. Like, like I think Karate Kid, and I don't know if he actually had to chase a chicken.
Does Karate Kid have chickens?
What's that?
Karate Kid?
Well, I feel like it was one of the exercises. Like you had to catch a chicken. Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
I think you're thinking of a different movie.
That's embarrassing.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking of, I don't know, maybe the sequel. I'll have to watch Karate Kid Part 2.
Catch a chicken. There's something to be said about your abilities,
Absolutely.
It's true.
Let alone get an egg out of it and eat it for breakfast.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys have an incredible story, and I don't want to take ownership or of you guys falling in love or anything. But you guys, I want to hear how you met, because I feel like I had a little part in your little love story here. So whoever wants to take the reins on this, I'd like to hear how you guys first laid eyes on each other.
Mitzi doesn't like my version, so you can tell it.
Yeah, I can. It's a full circle moment, because we actually did first lay eyes on each other at the Socality conference in Portland. So yes, actually, Scott, you do get some credit for that. If you didn't put that conference together, who knows if we would have met, we would have fallen in love, gotten married, all that good stuff. But we met, at the Socality Portland conference. We have known of each other for a while because we've had mutual friends. So I spotted Mike at the conference. I, like a very good conference goer, went up to introduce myself because I knew of him. We have a million mutual friends. And and then I just said, like, it was very brief. Hi, I'm Mitzi. We have all these mutual friends. Good to meet you. See you later. And then the next summer, he had he was planning a trip to Vancouver, where I lived, with some of our mutual friends. And the plan was that I would host them. And they mentioned that it was their friend, Mike Payne. And I was like, oh yeah, I randomly met him at this conference. Cool. And then we kind of connected over that week. And then, I guess the rest is history. He lived in Saskatoon. I lived in Vancouver. We started texting, flirting, FaceTiming.
Ooh, flirting on the text.
Heck yeah. Here's how I know there is a God. Because Mitzi still decided to come up and introduce herself to me at Socality, even though I had a man button, like a top knot.
Yeah. Well, at the time, I was like introducing myself as like a way to like.
You were feeling me for sure.
No, I wasn't flirting at all. I was just like.
That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know, when you first went up, were you sincerely interested? You can tell the truth. You're married now. You can say.
It's fine, but actually no.
Here's the truth.
Mike, there you go.
I was just chatting with this group of people between sessions. There's like probably 10 people, and it was good. We were having a good chat, and suddenly it's like the seas parted. Like Mitzi just like
she came in,
comes straight down the middle, straight to me, and she's like, "Are you Mike Payne?" And I'm like,
there was literally no one around us. There was maybe like one or two people that you'd finished talking to.
Okay.
And so I was passing by, and then I was like, oh, maybe I think that's who I think it is. And then I just said, hey, what's up? I'm Mitzi.
Right.
So I had, by the way, at the Socality conference that you organized, it was really easy to meet people, and it was really easy to just like start up conversations and be like, hey, I know
That's
you
true.
do social, but here we are in real life. So that's just my vibe. And that's what I did to Mike, but that obviously went further than any of the other conversations I had at Socality. But
Right, which is great. So we are excited that we bring people together. We
Yeah.
see marriages, we see, people coming together. And so that is an awesome story. So no matter which way you spin it, it's a love story regardless. And the man bun is gone. No more man bun. I do recall it.
You remember?
I do remember the man bun. I haven't seen a man bun lately on anybody, to be honest.
Oh, hey, for the record, Mike, I believe you.
wow.
The camp is good, but we can keep it moving.
Oh,
So you guys won a Webby Award for your work with Some Good News, which we're going to come back to a little bit later. But I heard a rumor that there's another award nomination, this time for your guys' podcast. Talk to me a little bit about the podcast and this new honor.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're pretty excited. It's we just finished our 3rd season. Our podcast is called Waves Social Podcast, and it's part of our kind of like coming together and starting Arcade story too, because we used to have 2 separate agencies back when we met at Socality, and MITZI's was called Waves. So when we decided to become Arcade, we also had to decide to leave the Waves brand behind.
Yeah, and I was really sad about it because they had done the branding actually, and I was like really precious about the name. It got me lots of attention, so I was really sad to lose it, but we knew we'd resurface it in some way at some point.
Yeah, so when we decided, we knew we had to be thought leaders in some way, and we really didn't want to write a blog. So we were just like, I guess the other option is starting a podcast, and we felt like it would be a great way to not just like share our expertise or perspectives, but also just build relationships and bring value from others, kind of like we're doing in this conversation to our audience. So we've been having a blast. Did 3 seasons. We actually won an award last year. That was our first one for the podcast. And this year we have been nominated by the Canadian Podcast Awards for 2, actually. One is Best Art for a Series. So it's for our cover art, I guess, which was pretty fun. And then the other one, which we're a little bit more excited about, is Best Business Series. So
wow.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're kind of holding our breath, hoping we take home the win, but we'll see what happens at the end of the month.
Well,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
For being finalists.
Yeah, we'll flex the finalist piece regardless.
Yeah, but no, that is good work for you guys. That's congratulations is in order. Well done.
Yeah, you guys are up next.
Well, it's cool to get celebrated in like such different ways too, where it's like the art and the content are both at such a level that people are taking note. It's like, congratulations, good on you guys. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. Like, and it's cool because it's not just Mitzi and I. Like, we benefit from having an agency team. So our art director Drew is so involved with the creative. We do original photo shoots every time we drop a new season and
Jill,
stuff like that.
who shoots it, she's so talented. She's always had like a really great style that we've translated for Arcade and Waves, and so I feel like that's part of some like what people remember about our social presence or when we're promoting episodes and stuff like that. So that's all their hard work.
Yeah, helps to have a team.
Definitely.
That is awesome. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about teams. So let's talk about Arcade. It's really exciting to see what Arcade is doing and where you've come from. But talk to us a little bit about, for those who know or who don't know, tell us more about what is Arcade and what you guys do.
Okay. Yeah, so alluded a little bit to the story of it, but we used to run our own separate agencies. Mine was more focused on like branding and identity and web design and stuff, and Mitzi's was more focused on social. And we just, as we started to develop a bit of a relationship personally, we also developed a relationship professionally and wanted to naturally help each other out and also help each other's clients out. So there's this natural jumping off point from when we would develop branding or a visual identity of some kind or launch a website to then taking whatever that product or service was to market. And that's what Mitzi was good at in her team. So we started to develop a bit of a partnership there unofficially. And then once we, got romantically involved and decided to get married and move to Calgary and do more work together, we also started to just kind of pay attention to our competition and other agencies that were out there. And we felt like there was a lot of big kind of bloated agencies that were getting the big brands that we wanted to get. that weren't doing amazing work, and we got to see a little bit behind the scenes on some of those as we got subcontracted and stuff like that. And we just got to a point where we could do this better without them, So we were like, how do we take more market share? How do we show up as bigger and better? And so we decided it made sense to merge and rebrand as Arcade. So we did that early in 2018. It's been just over 3 years now. And we came back to market as a digital agency, really focused on strategy, but then also original content creation, because so many brands live off of stock photos and like simple graphics when there's so much more that you can do with your content. And then of course, distribution, which is the biggest one. So that includes social media, email marketing, paid social, and like Google ads and stuff like that, and influencer and brand partnerships. So that's kind of like the suite of the service that we offer to our clients on a regular basis. And then we kind of found our niche more so with like e-commerce, direct to consumer products, especially in like beauty, fashion, and lifestyle. So that's been our sweet spot. And we really wanted to be specialists and not just a full service marketing agency, because we wanted to appeal to a really specific type of client. But we've kind of dabbled in other places too, like entertainment in this past year with some good news and some other smaller projects that have come along because of it. So yeah, that's what we're up to.
Nice. Very cool. And over this period of 3 years, from 2018 to now, I'm sure a few things have changed and some lessons have been learned. What are a few things about Arcade that have changed over those 3 years?
Yeah, so when we first started, our team was 4 people. 2019, we were 5 people. In 2020, we were, 11 people, and now we're 15. So
wow.
The change has been the expansion of our team, which has been amazing, and also has like its own challenges, but been so great. We feel so lucky. We feel like even in, when we first merged our companies or our teams, we felt like we handpicked everyone that we worked with, and we still feel like we're doing that today as we grow and we scale and we hire for new people. Everyone on our team is just so creative and so smart, but also like people we want to hang with and be with and build our business around, because Arcade is a big part of our lives because we're married, we both work together. So we wanted to work with people that we like to spend time with. So that's probably the biggest difference. Outside of that, we also had a baby, which of course like changes everything that you do. Huge change for me, huge change for Mike for sure. But definitely balancing, family life and work. As an entrepreneur, like work just demands more of your time and attention and energy. So, balancing that with a newborn was definitely challenging and hard. And then a pandemic, obviously like throws another wrench in it. But yeah, those have been the 2 biggest, I guess, like learning things that we've had to kind of figure out and juggle. Right now we're feeling really good. Like she's 2.5 now. So we feel like we have good rhythm. She's in daycare where we got space to kind of do our work, but still space to be home. But we've also had to learn to be really intentional about when we're home to be home and when we're at work to be at work, and to also learn how to like protect her and our home environment from the stress that we might feel from work. That's been like a practice that we've had to take on and really be intentional about watching and keeping each other accountable on. So that's been something just like personally we've had to learn.
Yeah, I feel like it's been like, just to be clear, it hasn't been smooth sailing. And I think that's kind of what you're alluding to, is like, we felt like we just kept hitting speed bumps along the way, whether it was, I didn't mention, like previously I had a partner before we merged and he was part of the merger. And then like 6 months later, he decided he didn't want to be an entrepreneur anymore. So he exited, we bought him out. And that was an interruption for our clients because they were used to him being at the table. And then of course, having a child for the first time, like that just flips everything on its head and really is the thing that changes your life more than anything else. And just like other things along the way, I think sometimes from the outside looking in, it looks like just kind of a smooth takeoff from start to finish. But a big part of us being where we are now, I think, is the result of Mitzi and I being able to like encourage each other and hold each other accountable to push through whenever we hit those speed bumps, and say like, really, the people that succeed are the ones that are the last ones standing, the ones that continue to decide to keep going, rather than letting one of those tough situations or big life changes be the thing that derails derails you. So yeah, in hindsight, it's cool to look back on it and see how we came through some of those things. And it feels so good because of the place that we're at and the success that we're seeing. And also just the way even our service and the quality of our work has evolved as our team grew too.
Yeah, and seems like teamwork and communication are really what push you through these interruptions, rather than just hoping to avoid interruptions or challenges, actually being prepared for them. And we have a question that just came in the Q&A that addresses a new challenge that a lot of us face this year. Brett is wondering, how has the change in digital consumption with COVID changed how the business is focused?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that we were really lucky is that our business has always been digitally focused. So when a lot of businesses were, and still are, forced to shut down and kind of look online and see how can they service their customers online, they had to build digital structures. And we had already been doing that for clients for years before COVID hit, both at Arcade and previously. So I think we were really equipped to support businesses who needed the digital experts to help them get into the digital space properly and do it well. A few other things, like obviously competition is something we have to deal with because everyone's online now and you're fighting each other and your peers and other people in your industry for attention. You're not just fighting like, your competitors, but you're also fighting like other platforms and all that stuff. So, but I think it's also been like, for our business, an opportunity because like I mentioned, we've always been digital, but it kind of like, since everyone is on Zoom now, it didn't mean like that we needed to travel to LA to get a big client or travel to New York or anything like that. We suddenly kind of had an even playing field. Clients weren't expecting like an in-person calls, of course, or meetings. So we're able to like get bigger fish, so to speak, and kind of be on the same level as some other bigger clients that we maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with because people had to go to Zoom for these meetings. So on that side, it was a benefit for our business because we were able to kind of connect with brands all over the world.
Yeah, I think on top of that too, the other side of the coin was like crisis comms, and we had never really had to be a part of that, but I'm sure any marketers or social media people listening had to do that too. Like you had to suddenly really be reactive to the landscape because it was changing constantly. So beyond like additional traffic online and being able to have more of a global reach, we also kind of had to be the trusted voice and show up with everything that we got, even though we were tired like everybody else, and be able to navigate all of these things that were coming up, whether it was like racial equity or like COVID-19, obviously, and all the things that came with that. And politics just became even more polarizing than they ever had been. So an example of that, we work with a health system in the US called UCLA Health. They're top 4 in the nation. And we came on with them last May to do essentially a COVID campaign. And it was meant to be a unifying campaign for the people in the LA DMA. And that was so eye-opening for us, not only to have kind of like an inside look at how this health system was operating and the information that they were getting before anyone else, but also how they responded to the pandemic. And then of course, how that translated to things like social and content and partnerships and being able to be really quick with like public service announcements and reaching marginalized groups that aren't necessarily on social. So yeah, there's so much that changed, but it's really helped us learn and grow faster and show up better. And I think like our business feels completely different than it did a year ago because of it.
Yeah. It's really interesting what you're saying. I feel like the people that are listening right now, they might not necessarily be in your business, or your industry, but they are taking away from everything that you have applied as principles for your growth and for your going forward, especially adapting to COVID, the pandemic, and all that this situation has brought us into. When I hear about your ability to scale your business and part of your success has been your growth, I'd be interested to hear How did you go from 2 to 4 to 6 to now, I think you said 14 people as part of your business, which I think is a huge achievement, but at the same time could also pose challenges. If you can just kind of walk us through, because I think that it could be an intimidating factor for entrepreneurs, that especially people that are used to working by themselves or doing solo, or working with a small team. How did you go from, there to 14 people, and what have been the benefits or challenges that have been coming with that growth for that team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think like we are fortunate in the sense that we've arrived where we wanted to arrive, but we definitely learned some of the lessons the hard way. And then on the other side of the coin, we got some good wisdom and insight from other people that have done it before us. But I think as from a staffing perspective, one of the things that we did right early on was starting with contractors before just going straight into full-time employees. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is because it's more agile, like more you can kind of scale with the revenue or the client load that you have. So where in some situations, if you suddenly get a bunch of new work and you need a bunch, like a bigger team, and you hire those all as employees, then if that work goes away 6 months later, suddenly you have to lay people off. And we have had to do layoffs in the past, but we learned pretty quickly because that's a terrible feeling.
Yeah, we never want to do that.
Yeah, so working with contractors first benefits you in that way, because then you're just scaling up and down with hours and like time commitments and who's involved in what, and it's more of a customized solution. But then also on the other side of the coin that Mitzi kind of touched on, she mentioned how we really want to build a team of people that aren't just good at their job, but that we vibe with, that they connect well with the other team and they're collaborative and they show up not just for the actual boxes that they have to check, but they actually make the overall like halo effect of what we're delivering better. So starting with contractors allows you to really learn a lot about a person and the way that they work and the way that they engage with your clients before you make that like long-term commitment, like dating before you get married kind of thing. So that was a big part of it. I think another thing that we learned along the way that likely other people that are listening have experienced if they're running their own business or have before is it's hard to protect your income as the founders. And so we saw, especially through those speed bumps, we saw our income go like this. And most of the time it was like that. So over the last few years, we've worked really hard with trusted advisors to kind of like restructure our business model a little bit, but also just kind of change our mindset and find a way to structure things so that when we're in the down curve that our salary is protected, so that we're not juggling both like personal risk and fears and business risk and fears, but we're only dealing with one or the other, you know what I mean? So we're at a much healthier place personally too now, where we feel like our livelihood is protected even despite what could happen, and then the business can kind of recover or respond as it needs to based on what's happening. So
that's cool. That makes a lot of sense. Now, something I'm just curious about is I imagine having now a larger team, I imagine when you started, you were doing a lot of hands-on stuff and you got into it because of the passion and interest in skill in the creating of these assets and the telling of these stories. And I assume there's now a degree of management and keeping, leading a team that has become a new part of your job. Talk to me about the journey into management. Is that something that you love? Is that something that's a necessary evil? What is it like to lead a group of people?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have a bit more of like the natural leadership skill set that I feel like I learned so much from you on that front. I definitely have noticed a bit of a knowledge gap for me personally, although I really enjoy it. And like I mentioned, the team that we have is so amazing and so many of them have like such a strong sense of self-leadership, which is so important and so critical, I think, for anyone in any work environment. So it's definitely something I feel like I could improve on and grow on. And I hope everyone can say that about themselves too. But yeah, one thing that we kind of did along the way too is we hired a project manager because in addition to, being like the face of the company and also kind of executing a lot of strategies and leading a lot of strategies, we just didn't have the bandwidth to do that in addition to management of projects. So having her on our team support with like the management of the rest of our team has been really great, because she can kind of keep the pieces moving and be like a first touch point for some of the people on our team who might need quick, answers to something. Yeah, shout out to Asha. Asha's on our team. She's our project lead. She's amazing. So I think that was really instrumental for us, because it allows us to have this space where we don't have to be in the weeds as much, but we can, spend time in the places that we need to be at and like show up at, and that's like our clients and that's for our team. So I think, yeah, definitely something that I want to improve in. I really love doing it. I really love being part of a leadership team. I really love hiring amazing people. I feel like one thing that has kind of shifted for me in the last year that we've talked about quite a bit is just like our perspective on our work as an opportunity for people. Like, I really believe that, our business is more than just getting great results for our clients. It's also an opportunity to be a really great workplace for people and to be, great bosses for people, because so many people have such terrible experiences. I've had terrible experiences. I'm sure you have too. So it's like, this isn't just about our client work and our client deliverables and our Zoom meetings or whatever. It's also about being a great place where we can like feel like we have a family, and we feel like we could be real, and we feel like we can grow together and do fun stuff and have like really memorable experiences. So I really try to have that perspective, because we won't always have the chance to work together. So I tell our team, like, as long as we have you, we're going to try to be the best we can be to you. And if we can do better, we will do better. Because I know, like, our things have changed so fast in the last 3 years, but they could change just as fast in the next 3 years. Like, who knows if we'll still have this opportunity. So
yeah, totally. I think we want to really have that perspective of like, if people do move on. Fortunately, we haven't had a lot of turnover, but we want to be able and prepared mentally to like celebrate them when they go, because of what they did while they were here and because of what they contributed. And I've heard someone else kind of talk about it as like retiring their number, like
there's their jersey in the rafters.
Yeah, like you kind of mourn the loss a little bit, but you also celebrate where they're going and what they've done. And so we want to have that kind of vibe too, to make sure that there isn't pressure to stay if it's not right for you anymore and things like that. So other things that we've learned from people along the way.
Very, very cool.
There's no doubt that what you're doing is very inspirational, and there's people in the chat that are on your team that are just singing your praises. And no doubt you guys deserve it. You're a great example, and you're doing awesome things, and you're fun to work with. So we love that. You had an incredible opportunity come your way recently that I think is just such a cool story. When I think it was when COVID hit. I don't know. Was it when COVID hit? Some Good News by John Krasinski came out, and it was a viral sensation on YouTube, and it made its way over to you guys. I want you to talk about what happened there. How did you get connected, and what was that like for you guys?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's like, how did you guys get to work within like this little small team from Calgary, Alberta? Obviously, like, that was so much fun. We got the gig because we interviewed this gentleman. His name is Mike Germano on our podcast in the first season. He is part of this network called Camino. We're also a part of that network. And he's friends with John Krasinski, and he's likely friends with a bunch of other celebrities that we don't know about. But he and John had always had this idea of doing this show about just good news. And so the pandemic hits, and of course they're like, this is our chance. Everyone's stuck at home. All their projects got canceled, sets were taken down, all that stuff. So he kind of just was like, did it. The first episode, I think the first episode had Steve Carell come on it, and it was really fun and went viral. And of course we watched it because we're huge Office fans. So we were familiar about it as soon as we saw, as soon as we got the call from Mike about it, not this Mike Germano. And so we were like, we'll do whatever you need us to do to be involved in this project in some small way. And I guess like we just kind of like did as much as we could, and then he was like, yeah, you guys hold the keys to the social account. So we got to do all the social, and then also help find, because the unique thing about that project is we were able to actually go to social to get the footage and the stories that would end up in the show. And so every week we had a different theme, and every week we'd have like a team of community managers like going around the internet, going on the hashtags, going deep in like threads to find the best of the good news that there was for the show. And it was just so much fun.
Yeah, it was a crazy moment. I remember like everyone was in quarantine and we've got this little spot in the mountains that we go to sometimes. And so we had just driven out there. It was like a Friday night and Mike had been chatting with us a little bit about it, but we had no idea if we should get our hopes up or not, or if like it would be so easy for like a bigger, better agency to just swoop in and take it.
Yeah.
But we just got a random email from him at like midnight that night. And was like, okay, here's the logins, just
Wow.
like,
so casual, like such a short email.
Yeah. He's like, I told John and Emily they can trust you. So
yeah,
just do what you think makes sense. And so there was very little direction either. It was like, what can you make of this?
Yeah.
And so, and I think one of the things beyond just the fact that it was John, like that made it so exciting was how decentralized it was. And it didn't have like a call to action or like a final objective of like raising money or like selling a product. It was literally just, he had time now. He was about to drop Quiet Place 2 and then theaters were closing. So he's like, I guess we got to wait on that. So he just had time to kill. So it was fun for us to be able to just work with that. And like Mitzi said, like she studied journalism in college. So it was this cool, like full circle moment in that sense, because we got to just build a newsroom around 7 Good News and pull it all through social. So
it was so fun.
It was
and we got the email like the Friday night, like at midnight. And then the next day on Saturday, we told our team, I think our team was like 5 or 6 people. And we got them all on a call on Saturday night. Like it was COVID, like no one was doing anything anyway. So they're all home on a Zoom call. And we got like private link to the 2nd episode. So we got like all of us on the call to watch the link. We had no idea what to expect. And we see it's like the cast of Hamilton singing to this little girl. And it was such a weird, crazy moment because the 5 of us were watching this and we knew it was going to go live the next day. And we knew that it was going to be trending around the world. We knew it was going to be the #1 story. We knew it was going to be shared a million times and watched countless a million times. And so it was just such a cool moment to be like, we have this right here. It's going to be internet gold. Everyone's going to be talking about it. What are we going to do with this? Like, how are we going to share this? What's our response? But I think that was a really fun moment for our team and for me too, like just being like, oh my gosh, like we're sitting on something that's going to be so exciting to the world. And then there were so many other moments outside of that. Like I remember too, like we've talked about this before on our podcast is the prom episode. So every episode came out on Sunday night with the exception of prom, which was a live YouTube show on a Friday. So that we had a shorter window in terms of producing or putting together the episode. But the prom was going to have, or did have, the Jonas Brothers, Chance the Rapper, Rainn Wilson, Billie Eilish, like all these really cool performers. And the week before the Friday, we've been working like all week on this, like a bunch of different things. You knew you were going to do like a sound check with like Billie Eilish and Joe Jonas. And so we didn't have childcare because like, of course, like everything was shut down. So we're like, let's drive to Canmore to meet your parents. And your parents can take Elena, who at the time was like, I don't know, under a year or like just over a year. And so we got in the car. And of course, like on our way to Canmore, you got the text being like, here's the Zoom link. And so we had to pull over. I had to like quietly pull our daughter out of the car. And he was on the Zoom call with like Billie Eilish and the Jonas Brothers doing a sound check.
Just pulled over on the side of the road, like cows walking by.
Yeah.
That is
typical,
amazing.
like middle of nowhere, Alberta.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
Did they ask you where you were? Were they like, what's going on back
yeah.
there?
They're like,
You gotta come visit. The mountains are beautiful.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And I was like trying to keep our daughter entertained, like looking at cows.
Yeah, Joe Jonas had like 4 mint juleps, so he was a little tipsy. So yeah, it's fun.
That's so fun. Well, there's so many different things we could dig into here, and yeah, obviously it was just something that really resonated with the whole world, and you got to be a part of. So there's so much we could pick apart. But one thing that I find so fascinating is the idea of curating this news, and I'm sure you're reading story after story after story of encouraging news, and maybe at some point so much that's like irrelevant, trying to find what's relevant. Were there any stories that you can remember that when you found it, you were just so grateful you dug it up? Like hit me with a story or two about curating these good news stories.
Oh man, yeah, there's so many. It was funny because we had a spreadsheet. We just worked in like, we had to be fast and we had to work with their production team. So we had to work in like these Google spreadsheets where like multiple people from our team would, they found something that was show worthy, they'd drop the link to it, and then they'd write, like sometimes they'd write a description, and then me would usually review it and then send it to the producers if I thought it was like show worthy or whatever. If it wasn't, then we'd share it for social. And our spreadsheet first started like, oh, this is really good. And then it was like, oh, this is really, really good. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really, really, really good. So there was so much good news, but a few stories that I can think of. One of them is from our graduation episode. So we had a call out asking people for what kind of questions they'd have for their graduation speakers. They didn't know it at the time, but the graduation speakers turned out to be like Oprah, Malala, Jon Stewart, Steven Spielberg. And so there was all these just like kids, well, lots of kids, but like high school students, university students, master's degrees, kindergarten students, like putting out these questions into the internet, not knowing who was going to answer them or what it was for. One guy asked, I can't remember the exact question, but it was something around like, what is all this for? And like, how am I supposed to be encouraged to graduate when like the whole world is like going to shambles?
When like no one will notice.
Yeah, no one will notice.
Yeah.
And so we got that question and we dug into his profile a little bit, and he was a film student. And so we naturally connected him with Steven Spielberg. We got to have him on a Zoom call with Steven Spielberg, and they had a really great conversation, and it made it into the episode. It was really special. And after the episode went live, he tweeted like this tweet thread, a screenshot of him with John Krasinski and Steven Spielberg, and he just the caption was like, just three filmmakers chatting. And then he had like a thread later on, and he was saying how like, graduating, he didn't feel like anyone, one, believed he could graduate, secondly felt like he had been seen, and he felt really discouraged finishing his last year of university, trying to focus on his studies when so much of the world at the time was so unknown. And it was just so, he also said that like this moment changed him, and it made him, one, feel like he could do it, like he could be a filmmaker too, because Steven Spielberg was just so encouraging, so was John Krasinski, of course. And most importantly is he felt seen. Like he was one of thousands of people who was graduating alone in their room by themselves without a ceremony or anything like that. And it was just so it made me feel like this whole thing was about him. That whole episode was about him, so that he could feel seen in this like crazy year of our lives, and feel like what he did was an accomplishment, and that hopefully he feels like he can do anything outside of that. So I think that was really special.
I think for me, the biggest moment that comes to mind for me, it wasn't a story that got submitted through social, but it was a moment in one of the episodes. I think it was episode 3 or 4. We somehow got connected to NASA, and there was a few astronauts at the space station that were getting ready to come home. And the pandemic had happened after they left. So when they left, everything was normal. And they sent us a few clips to include in the episode. But the moment that just like messed me up was one of the astronauts saying, "A world in crisis is still a world worth returning to." And I don't know, it just gave me the shivers like it is right now. And the thought that someone who was so removed from this, who could literally take in the entire universe from his vantage point, was ready to come home, even though it was just in a state of array and people were dying, because he wanted to be with his family. He wanted to be with the people that were struggling, so that was a really powerful moment. I think like beyond that, everyone who's listening should just go watch the community episode.
Yeah.
That I think was really interesting to me. It had the least star power because it was all just about random people and their own stories, and kind of like showing that like people can continue this even after the show is done. And I felt like that was just so compelling because it wasn't so much like, like George Clooney or Brad Pitt or whoever telling us what the weather was, but more like just people banding together to say like, we're going to get through this. And there's a positive narrative in the middle of all this chaos.
Yeah, the main story of Some Good News is that you can be the good news, even when the world is crumbling around you, even when it's like you're in the middle of a pandemic. There is good news if you look for it. So I think that was the main story of the whole show, but especially episode 9 is special, which is a community episode, because we got to highlight some of those like smaller moments that weren't connected to the celebrity, like you said, but also just like real life stuff that everyone could relate to during the pandemic. So yeah, that's a good one.
So what does that mean to you two on a human level, to be involved in bringing those sorts of messages into people's homes in a time of crisis? You know, you guys have a high amount of skill, a high amount of hard work, a high amount of resilience to get yourself to in the position to be able to do that. And then you have that experience where you've participated in these changing moments for individuals and communities. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've processed this a lot. I think the ending of, or the last episode, I was super emotional because, you know, I've been working in social media since the beginning, you know, like one of the first on Facebook, one of the first on Twitter, all that good stuff. And my job was always kind of like, no one really gave a lot of weight to social media. And even now today, fast forward, 20 years, and social media is still kind of like, you know, seen as such a negative thing. But I truly believe, and I know that you guys do, because Socality was built on this, is an opportunity for community and for connection and to make someone's life better. And so for me, it was such an honor to kind of feel like I could do that on such a big scale, to really make a difference through social media. All these stories were shared to us, and we felt like so humbled that we got to be the front lines of receiving those good stories. And knowing how much like it meant to people, even like small things, or what we think is small stories, felt like so important to these people. So it felt like it was, you know, like a God thing, like God gave this to me. And especially with John Krasinski being like one of our favorite celebrities, we're huge fans of The Office and all of the other work that he's done, felt like it was like handpicked for us in this moment to remind us that like what we're doing in the industry that we're in, we can still make a difference, even if it feels really negative and it feels like, you know, it's hard to make something important. Like, so we feel like social media is important and doesn't have to be, you know, something that brings the world down, but it can build people up. So I feel like it's something that is really special to me, and something that I want to find ways to do again. So
yeah, I think it also helped us articulate finally what we really want for our business. And what I mean by that is like, we had already kind of felt this like dissatisfaction with the idea of just like working with a bunch of clients through our career, making them a lot of money, and, you know, like earning a living, but is that it, you know? And so for us, when we got the opportunity to be involved in something like this, it really was the thing that kind of helped us understand what we want later. So the way we articulate it now is that we want to make art that moves culture. And really that's what Some Good News felt like. Like it was truly just a piece of art because it had no like end goal. And it moved culture around the world because like it changed the narrative from fear and like kind of this doomsday mentality and that it was never going to get better to, hey, like here's small bits of good everywhere around us. You can do it too. Let's make it happen. And so we're looking for opportunities with our other more normal clients to do that kind of thing again, you know. So it's not just about revenue. It's not just about like pleasing the shareholders, you know, it's about like actually making a difference for your community and actually like leaving a positive impact beyond just what you sell. So that was important for us.
Yeah, I think what people need to remember is Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, they don't have personalities. And so they will look and sound like what we bring to the table. And if you choose to be somebody who inspires and brings that good news, this is what these platforms will look like. And it's easy to point a finger and say, Facebook is toxic. But we have to remember it's us as humans who are adding to that. And so we can choose to be toxic, or we can choose to bring seasoning and bring flavor and bring life and bring hope. And I love the fact that you guys are approaching it like that. And what an awesome opportunity with Some Good News. And you can say, oh, why did we get it? But you got it because you were meant to hold it and you were meant to do it. And so it found you. And it's such an awesome story. And so thank you for sharing. We could talk forever about Some Good News. Do you still have the logins?
Account.
Yeah.
You still manage it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. We can promote this episode on it.
Love it.
That is awesome. That is really exciting. Well, you know what? You guys deserve all the awards. And I really do hope how do we support you on that one podcast? Can we vote for that?
You can create a profile if you have a podcast. So you guys, the two of you.
Okay, so we could vote.
Yeah, but people, just like general people, like the general public, can't vote, unfortunately.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to be sharing about it, but there's no really call to action. But I'll hold you to it for sure.
We'll vote for you. We'll vote. You got our vote.
Maybe at the point in the pandemic where actually the general public does have a podcast.
It's called Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Everybody has a podcast.
Yeah. Love it.
Right on. Hey, well, we're moving towards the end. There's so much more that we could dig into. I really appreciate the insight, the wisdom, the passion that each of you bring. And I feel like this conversation could go on, and I would continue to have my mind expanded. So I'm grateful for what you've shared thus far. As we look ahead for you two and your team, what are a few things on the horizon that you're really looking forward to, whether that be, big picture, thematically, something you want to play around with, or even just a practical thing, a new program or project you're picking up? What's on the horizon for Arcade?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm really interested in exploring how we can do more content on like emerging platforms. I guess TikTok is an emerging platform. It's here to stay, but like TikTok is something that I have my eye on, that I would personally like to do more stuff on and learn how we as a company can support other people on TikTok. I'm also really excited about season 4 of our podcast. We're working on some really exciting guests, and we're doing some merch with the podcast, which is what we did season 3. So we're trying to like level that up, and I think that'll be really fun. Our podcast is like a passion project of ours. It's super fun. So yeah, I think that's like the main thing for me. But
yeah, a lot of it right now revolves around the podcast. Like with Arcade, it's all the nerdy, like less glamorous stuff, like building better systems internally and things like that. A lot of exciting client work. But for Waves, beyond just the next season and the next batch of merch, we also are really excited about exploring other types of content that we can get into on that platform. Like our team would love to produce a print magazine, and we'd love to also just get more regular with like educational type content just on social, things like that. Maybe someday we'll do a digital course or something, but we just think there's so much value in that type of content, and we consume so much of it. So that's where our heads are for a lot of the time these days. And we're hoping to build our own little podcast studio too.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, but you guys.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, no shortage of vision from you guys. I love that. And we're excited to see all those things come to be. I love TikTok. So I love that you're going to poke into that, because I find myself just obsessed with TikTok.
It's my nightly ritual. I have like.
Do you watch it at night? It's just like falling asleep, just like scrolling, just like.
I don't think it's like habit, but it's just like it just makes me happy. Like it's just so funny and fun and
so funny.
That I want to show Mike.
Totally. Totally. I just find myself, as soon as I laugh, I think, who can I send this to?
Well, that's the thing. Scott's actually invested in TikTok enough that I don't even have to have an account, because he just curates everything that he knows I'm going to want to see. Yeah. I don't even have an account. I just open up my iMessages from Scott. I get a good laugh. I get my fill. It's like he is my personal algorithm. I love it.
Yeah, Scott, we need to put together like a little email or something, like a newsletter with like
totally.
all the best links, and so people can like watch them.
So
100%. 100%.
TikTok I've ever like actually posted was the like flip the switch trend.
Yeah.
And I did that one. So that's the only one that lives on my account.
Go look for it.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, Scott, send that one to me.
I'm gonna go find your TikTok. So as we come to a close here, we always love to give everybody in our community, those are in the chat room and those that are watching on YouTube or listening on podcasts, a challenge. And you can both give one if you want, or you can give us a corporate one from both of you. What would you challenge the people that are listening to, from something that you've taken away from life that they can either apply to their life, or a mentality shift or something? What is a challenge that you could give to our community?
I'm going to start, but I have to give credit for it to Mitzi, because she came up with it. But I think it came out of like a few different things this year. Some of them were more like frustration, but also just out of kind of like learning about how we really make ourselves different than other other agencies out there and other creators. And that was just the phrase, take it all the way. And we really tried to like revisit that a lot with our team over the last like 6 to 12 months. And I think it's changed the way that we look at our work. You know, I think so many agencies, they're paid for a deliverable or to show up for a certain amount of hours and or complete a certain amount of work. And it really just comes down to checking boxes at that point.
Mhm.
But we don't want to be like that, and we don't track hours internally. That's like one thing we just decided from the get-go we don't want to do, because they're all humans. They're not, you know, they're not clocks or machines. And so, but with Take It All the Way, it really comes down to not just checking the boxes, but envisioning like, how can we make this deliverable or this campaign or this interaction or whatever it may be, everything it possibly can be, and pull the most like potential that we can out of it. And I think it can apply personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just for us inside our agency, but it also comes down to, you know, like figuring out how to like prioritize your health and fitness at home, or your marriage, your relationship. You know, like, how do I not just do the bare minimum or the minimum viable product, but actually take this as far as I possibly can to make this as successful as possible. And so that's really been a huge part of our growth and success this past year. And I think it's applicable to anyone who's listening.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Great challenge. Mitzi?
Thank you. Yeah, well, that was mine. That was my
okay. So that comes from both of you.
No, we agreed that we would share.
Okay. I love that. We accept.
It collaborated and yeah.
As Scott would say, a corporate challenge. Scott's been in the thesaurus this week.
Well, you used the word thematic earlier. I thought, oh, that's a good word. I'm going to add that into my weekly.
Wow.
So you also read it.
Look at us, eh? Just cracking open those big thesauruses. Awesome. And then the last thing that we want to ask is a hand-me-down, a piece of advice that someone has given you that means a lot to you. It can be a family member, a mentor, just something you heard in passing on the street. What's a piece of advice that you appreciate that you can pass on to us?
Yeah, one thing, like, I mean, I'm sure there's so many, but one thing that came to mind right away is to never burn a bridge. And it's super simple, but I find that like in this culture that we're in with cancel culture and things like that, just to always keep the door open on people. You don't need to close the book on anyone. And I think in business, that's, you know, been so great for us. My first ever client was my high school friend's mom. And then we've had so many other people come our way through different, you know, past lives, I guess, in terms of like business and becoming clients or not becoming clients, but connecting us to someone else. And so I think it's really important to never like burn a bridge on someone or end things on bad terms. You always want to make sure that people can walk away from an interaction with you and say things that are positive. So I think I'm surprised by how often people don't do that. So I think that's a really important and level of maturity that I think you need to have in order to do that well sometimes. But I think it's really important.
That is a great hand-me-down. I totally believe in that. Just don't burn your bridge. You never know when you're going to connect again. And so, yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Listen, you guys have downloaded so much incredible information, not only from your story, your successes, what you're doing with Some Good News and Arcade and Wave Social, of course, but these hand-me-downs and this challenge. You guys were great. Thank you so much. We could keep talking, but
so fun. Yeah, we need to do a part 2 or something.
Oh, totally, 100%.
Like a plan. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for taking the time to set some time aside in your schedule and share these thoughts, these lessons, these ideas with our community. We're all better for it, and we appreciate your investment in us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Scott.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to do mystery box right after this, but we want to thank you again and congratulations on all the success. And I hope to see you guys soon.
Yes. We'll walk down the hall and see you very soon.
People don't know this, but we share a communal office, and Mike and Mitzi are just our neighbors to where we share. So they're actually just around the corner. So
we're gonna cast some votes for you guys. We gotta get some W's on these award nominations. So
that's right.
Let's go. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Everyone stick around for the remainder of the show. Thank you, Mike and Mitzi. Have a great rest of the day. Zach. Wow. That was incredible. What great challenges and hand-me-downs and everything.
Sorry about the astronaut that had me tearing up.
It was very touching. Yeah. No, I was actually just shocked about people leaving the earth and then coming back to a whole new world that's different.
I hadn't thought about it that way before.
Yeah, that's that is wild. So now we have the mystery box winner. So I'm gonna open it up.
Should we do win of the week in the meantime?
Oh yes, let's do win of the week first.
Let's hear this. Let's hear this one. Let's leave.
You always bring me back on track. Thank you.
Just a little bit longer.
Let's put them on the edge. I love keeping people on the edge. Okay, win of the week. Let's go.
Yeah, send your win of the weeks in the chat and we'll read out a bunch of them. Scott, what was your win of the week?
So I'm really excited because, as you know, I've been doing my whole journey back to health.
Yeah.
And so I have set up in our basement. We, between my wife and I, we've set up our own little home gym.
Oh, way.
And so, yeah, so we got a little home gym downstairs now. So I get up in the morning, I go straight downstairs and I do my morning workout. And then I come upstairs and make breakfast. And the kids are there. The whole family's there.
Wow.
It is a great win.
I love that. What all is in that home gym? Break it down for me.
Okay, so we have 2 Pelotons. We have the bike and the tread.
Yeah.
So I can ride the bike or I can jump on the tread and do a run.
Yeah.
And I also have a whole weight set. And so like a whole total barbell weights, just power cage,
shoes, 5s, 10s.
10s, 25s, 35s, 45s. I got resistance bands. I got it all. I got a bench. It's all, I'm living my best life. Asha says, I am living my best life. I literally go downstairs, work out, and I found this amazing protein pancake mix. So I come up and I make pancakes in the morning and they're protein filled. And so I get pancakes in the morning. Can you believe this life I'm living?
What a life, dude.
Figured this thing out.
What a life. My brother made pancakes the other day with Tim Hortons ice cap mix.
Okay, these are that, but the opposite.
Yeah. So we got a couple of win of the weeks coming in here. Brett says he finally blew up his 6-year-old website to start over with a new design. Back to square one. Those fresh starts can feel so good. Hey, Brett. That's awesome.
Yeah. And someone is saying, Brenda's saying she created her own new website. So awesome. Congratulations on doing that.
Courtney is planning to start a food blog Instagram and enjoy my favorite thing, foodie. Wow. So if you want an ice cap pancake recipe or a protein pancake recipe, let us know.
Listen, you need this protein pancake recipe. And someone is saying here that their win of the week is Monstera grew 2 new leaves. I don't know what that means.
Well, first of all, that's producer John. And second of all,
what does that mean?
That's a plant. It's a plant, Scott. It's the cool vibey one. You know, the big green leaf with the little cuts on it.
I know the plants. I just don't know their names.
Yeah, it's the Monstera. The Monstera is the cool trendy one that has the little.
Well, it grew 2 new leaves. So congratulations, producer John.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. We love to see it, John. I'm glad for you. We got a couple more here.
Courtney had pumpkin protein pancakes. Okay. Before this podcast, I need that recipe. So for those who are saying recipe, I don't have a recipe. It's just this brand called Flourish. It's already it's the batter. You just put it in, mix it up.
Oh, wow. I love that. Chloe says, got a foster dog placement today. I'll be taking home a new temporary buddy to love. That is so precious.
Oh, my kids will be jealous.
Wow. What kind of dog? Tell us. We have to know.
Tell us what kind of dog. Well, the people need to know. That is awesome. So many. What's your win of the week, Zach?
Oh, my win of the week is reading all these wins of the week. John says he's going to send me a pic of his Monstera leaf. That is going to be the win of my week.
Nice.
Brenda, getting out and walking a little further every day, longer and stronger, burning some calories. That's sweet. Nice. Actually, okay, that reminds me of what I'm going to say my win of the week is. It's warm enough that we brought back skateboarding around the lake as like an activity. So I love it when it's like 8 p.m. and you can go skateboard at the lake. I think warm nights and summer nights. It was 9:20 last night. I was looking out the window and the sun was setting. I'm like, I love the long summer nights when the light is here. So that is such a beautiful thing. It makes me so happy inside. Giving me that vitamin D, that natural vitamin D. So, amazing. Hey, well, I guess it's probably time that we can share who the winner.
Yes. So let me open up this box. And so we want to thank the person, thank everybody for being so engaged in the chat room. You have been awesome. Do we have a drum roll? I don't know if we do, but let me open this box. The UPS man was so exciting. But first of all, the winner is Courtney Bone, you are the winner of the week from the mystery box. Yes. That is so awesome. And I do have to say, Courtney, you were very active in the chat and love all that you brought to the table. We love seeing what people bring to the table and how they inspire the conversation. And so here's what you win from our host, from our guest today. They have a cool little merch line. And so they have a little Wave Social Chill at Home pack. So starting with your own candle scent. This one is called ROI, Return on Investment.
It smells like profit.
Mood up. Vibe is strong. It is stressed. Don't hurt her. So a scent that does a mostly good return on investment. Coconut soy. So that,
amazing,
along with your cozy slippers.
Oh, those are good. I like that.
Slippers. And you can be chilling in your cool sweatshirt.
Yo, that's a sweet prize pack. What does that
great? I told you, this is why the UPS man was so excited.
UPS man was pumped.
He was pumped. Don't bother me. I'm making waves. So there you go. Awesome. This is coming to you, Courtney. Producer John's going to connect with you, and we're going to get this candle and all that. And we want to see a pic on Instagram with a tag and a shout out.
I'm just shocked we found a prize that was better than the rest of Brett's pizza. I really didn't think we were going to be able to pull it off, but we did. And guys, I think it's about time we wrap the show up because I just remembered I have leftover pizza in the fridge and I cannot hold myself back from it any longer.
And some chickens that are waiting to say hello to you. So we look forward to the update on the chickens, update on everything else. Hey guys, if you like what you see, make sure to like and subscribe to us so we can bring more of this content to you. Listen to this on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, and join Socality.org. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care. We will see you soon.